Hey there, Martial Apologist here again. And a buddy of mine asked me if I'd give him 2 cents on what I thought about Jill Stein's proposal for student loan debt forgiveness. And that actually kind of ties into apparently some Black Lives Matter activists have issued a list of demands, including, but not limited to, wanting student loan debt forgiveness. So I think this is a terrible idea, clearly. Because of a number of different issues economically. I mean, there's the principle of the thing as well, but economically there are a couple of issues. So we're talking about student loan debt forgiveness. We're really talking about one of two possible things. Either A, or at least realistically 2 things, because the loan holders are not going to just go, whatever. No, they just won't. So we're talking about the government doing it. And so if we're talking about the government forgiving student loan debt, what we're talking about is either A, the government forcing the loan companies, banks or whoever they may be, whoever issued the loan, to just ignore the loan. I mean, that's one way to do it. The other way is for the government to pay them, basically buy the debt, more or less. That's also a really bad idea. In the first case, what we have are companies lending money and then not getting it paid back. This is, it doesn't matter if it's for student loan debt or for any other kind of debt, right? If it's Visa and they give you money and you don't pay it back, then that costs Visa money. Now, if you just don't have to pay it back, that's great for you. But for everybody else, they have to now pay more. My interest rate goes up every time a lot of people default on their credit card. Same thing happens with student loan. Okay, we forget all the student loan debt right now. Okay, great. Now the interest rate for all the heretofore unaccrued student loan now goes up. So instead of giving a relatively low interest rate loan of somewhere under 10%, now we're probably gonna quadruple it or so. And now you might as well just go on college, if possible, on a credit card. It would pretty much be just as expensive. The other possibility is the government just pays it off. Okay, well now they don't need to raise the rate. Okay, that problem's solved. That's great. So now they don't need to raise the rate, but because we know now from past experience that the government might buy off this debt, they might actually do the opposite. They might actually lower the rate. Well, that's good for the students, at least initially. But now what we've done is we've lowered the rate for student loans. Okay, so let's think about this. So we lower the price of borrowing, so the demand is going to go up, so more people are going to be more inclined to go into debt to go to college. That actually sounds like kind of a good idea on the surface, but I would posit that that's actually kind of a bad thing for a couple of different reasons, not the least of which is a lot of college degrees aren't worth much. I mean, if we have more people going into college that are going into STEM fields, that are going into economics, that are going into, whatever, anything in the STEM fields, really. I mean, even if it's just electrical engineering, or anything of that nature, then that's great. If they're going into health fields, if they're going into anything of that nature, that's fine. If they're going into, history degrees and things like that, there can be some value there. But not really for most general employment. So on that one, it's starting to get a little into the gray area. And then you have things like degrees in a lot of humanities. Something like a bachelor's in psychology. Like, you can't get a job with a bachelor. It's completely useless to get a bachelor's in psychology. It's like honestly, it would be like a bachelor's in a computer field. Like, it's so close to useless, especially for the money. Now, if you get a master's degree in either one of those, that's better. If you get a PhD, that's even better. Not necessarily a PhD, but a doctorate. Okay, now if you can actually do something with that, that's fine. Same thing with law, a bachelor's degree in law. I mean, yeah, if you want to be a cop, sure. They don't really make a lot of money either. You probably could have skipped the degree and just become a cop. But, some people want to do that because they want to, go on to be a detective or something, and that's fine. I've got friends that do that. It's perfectly fine. But, I mean, if you're just wanting to do the basic entry-level work of the thing, don't worry about the degree. It's completely useless. So what we would have is a situation where probably the interest rate stays the same, because it's a pretty reasonable interest rate all around. I think mine was only like 6 or 7%. Potentially going lower. It'd probably stay the same, but it might go a little lower. So we'll have more people take out even more loans. Student debt will grow even more, which means universities need to cater to people by popularity, not necessarily by economic sustainability of what they're providing you, which means we're going to have a whole lot better rec centers. We're going to have a lot better looking libraries with not really more books. We're going to have all sorts of newly furnished facilities. Every dorm may even have a jacuzzi at some point, I don't know. But what we're probably not going to get is a generally more educated, employable, productive society. Just being more educated doesn't... It's not a bad thing unto itself, but you can just get more educated on your own. Wikipedia, maybe not the best source of information. YouTube, maybe not the best source of information, but there are really good, cheap sources of information, if not free, all over the internet for all kinds of things. So if you just want to know more stuff, just to be a better general citizen, don't go to college. It's useless. Now, if you want to get a higher paying job, go to college, but don't just get any stupid degree. Figure out what you want to do and get the degree that does that thing and, darn near guarantees it. And even then, you have to work your butt off to get in any kind of decent field. So, no, I think that would actually work out to our disadvantage to some degree. Also, now to the principle of the matter, what you're effectively asking for is, I want an education, or I've already gotten one, but I want someone else who's already put in probably also their work in their education, but then also the work at their job to then pay for it with their tax dollars, which they already paid for without anybody else's tax dollars. It doesn't really make sense. The only other conceivable option for this is government takeover of university, and price controls and regulation over the whole university. That would be terrible all around. You can have government-run universities. There's nothing wrong with that, provided at the very least they charge you what it costs them to provide. Then it's tax neutral and fine. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to eliminate the ability for a private university to exist, then you're more than a little authoritarian, and you're probably not best served by leaving the government in complete control of the educational system through in and throughout the entire country. Unless you're a nationalist. If you're a nationalist, that is exactly what you want. I don't care if you're a white nationalist, a black nationalist, if race doesn't play a part in it, whatever. If you think your country is the best ever, and your government is the superior form of being, great, go for it. Have them be the only source of education in the nation. That's a great idea. If you're someone that is, if you don't think that George Orwell's 1984 was laying out a prescriptive plan for society, don't do that.